Tank Abbott, a living legend, known just as much for his legendary partying lifestyle as for his devastating right hand, will be squaring off against Kimbo Slice, perhaps one of the world's most downloaded MMA street fighters in history. They're going to be fighting. We'll have highlights of that fight. We're also going to have highlights of this fight. Rico Rodriguez against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. We'll have highlights of all of the Showtime event, the EliteXC event. Plus, we're going to meet with the EliteXC bigwigs, the decision makers of Showtime networks as well. All that and much more when Jay Adams' Brawl Call continues.
You ready to turn, everybody?
Champion of the world. How's that sound to you? Yeah, it sounds good.
Welcome to Jay Adams' Brawl Call.
And welcome to Jay Adams' Brawl Call on the Fight Zone TV network. We are now joined by a guy who is making big waves in the MMA world. I'm, of course, talking about Gary Shaw, president of live events for EliteXC. Gary, never shy to come up with that strong soundbite and make a strong stand against your competition. Because you say competition is what makes America great.
For sure. The only thing that I'm making big waves is my weight. When I jump in a pool, that makes big waves. But I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate you having me on and talking about not only my brand, EliteXC, but my visions for mixed martial arts and a little about my competition and Mr. Baldy, the guy who invented mixed martial arts. Really excited to talk to you and give you some of my views today.
I'm going to start on something I wasn't even planning on starting with, the war between you and Dana White. Unbelievable, the words going back and forth. His big strong one to you when his last comment was your bottom feeder. So you tell me your feelings of him. Let's get that right out of the way. We'll start off with the heat.
Well, here's my comment. I know the Fertittas very well. Mark Ratner, they're gentlemen. I have a lot of respect for them. They have a great brand. They have some great fighters. They put on some great fights. The problem with Dana White is he thinks that he invented mixed martial arts. And he's nothing but a used car salesman that happened to get lucky that he knew the Fertittas and they gave him a job and gave him the opportunity to have a nice-sized pool, a nice house, and a good life. But until he realizes that the brand is a good brand, but they don't own the best fighters in the world, they don't own the best fights in the world, and they don't own mixed martial arts. And that's all I have to say. I mean, he can say whatever he wants. I'm a bottom feeder. Okay, if he thinks Kimbo's a bottom feed and Junior Silva and Jake Shields and the Shamrocks and whatever, I'm a bottom feeder. But at least they're not all leaving me like they're leaving him. So, everybody knows, UFC, they took advantage of all the fighters. That's why it stands for You Fight Cheap. So they've been exposed now. They never had competition before. Now they have real competition. And Dana's got to treat his fighters better. Got to be more understanding that he's not the star. He walks around with bodyguards like everybody's going to, what are they going to do? Attack him for his autograph? I never heard such bullshit. It's not about him. It's not about the UFC. It's about his fighters. They're the ones that count. Because if the fighters all leave him, all he's got is himself and his chrome dome head. And that's about it.
You were saying that he hasn't built too many fighters, but in defense of the organization, he has built a couple fighters from pretty much from ground up. Hughes, St. Pierre, BJ Penn, Rampage. Those are some fighters that he built up.
Hey, he didn't build Rampage. He bought Rampage when Jeremy Lappin and the WFA went out of business. So, but look how long they've been in business. They built 3 fighters. And that whole time, they're recycling Couture and Ortiz and Chuck and whatever. For as long as they've been in business, for as many events as they've done, I don't know. I can't keep up with their numbers. Were they 83, 84, whatever it is?
In mid-80s.
Yeah, mid-80s. To build 3 fighters. I built Gina Carano in one fight. I built Kimbo in one fight. So, and I'm not saying that anything bad about their brand. I acknowledge it's an excellent brand. They've done a tremendous job in marketing the brand. They've put on some great fights, and they've had some great fighters, but they don't own the space.
One of the things that Dana was saying early on, and it's very interesting how you did get into the sport of MMA, and this is one of Dana's bones of contention. He said you never cared for the sport, you didn't like the sport, you never would have gotten into the sport, but your son Jared brought you along and convinced you. So Dana, in essence, is saying you're a Johnny-come-lately, so how could you say that about me?
Well, maybe he needs an education, so why don't I take the time while I'm on your network talking to you and give Dana a little education. Won't cost him anything. When I was the chief operating officer of Main Events, a boxing company, in the 90s, I called Bob Meyerowitz, who was with the UFC at the time, the founder, so to speak, of that brand, and spoke to him about possibly buying the brand and bringing it into Main Events. So that's true. Kathy Duve at that time and Pat English, the attorney, decided they only wanted to be a boxing company. So all that had ended at that time. So I knew about mixed martial arts. I watched mixed martial arts with my son Jared when he was a little boy, and he bought the original Gracie pay-per-views, and I didn't even know what I was watching at that time. That's true. But then as time went on and my boxing career really blossomed, I took my eye off of mixed martial arts, absolutely. And if it wasn't for Jared, I wouldn't be back in mixed martial arts. But to say that I didn't know about it, I was a regulator. It came before me in New Jersey to possibly regulate it at some point. But it was the Wild Wild West back then. We decided not to regulate it. So that's the true story about Gary Shaw and mixed martial arts. Do I owe it all to my son Jared for bringing me back in this space? Absolutely, 100%.
And those hammer fists, sledgehammer fists from Antonio Bigfoot Silva.
Well, I gotta say, making big waves in the world of MMA.
Only my weight makes big waves.
President of live events for EliteXC, Gary Shaw. Thanks for visiting with us today.
Much.
We really appreciate it. Jay's BrawlCall. Now, yesterday we talked about the importance of submission grappling in your MMA game. The other element, just as important, if not more important, on your feet, standing up and trading. The first thing you want to do when you go into a training session and you're going to step into a cage like this, make sure you have the right fight gear on so you have a little respect when you step into the cage. Hilfiger. Denim. What the? So today, I'm going to be fighting someone at 65. I got 30 pounds on him, so I want to take it a little bit easy, okay? So here's my... Oh, wait a minute. No, that's the wrong 65. I meant 165. Another great thing about coming to these MMA events, you get to meet people that are very important for you to meet, especially when you do like TV stuff. The Senior Vice President for Sports and Event Programming for Showtime Networks right here, Mr. Ken Hirschman. Ken, pleasure to join you.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks.
You got it early on MMA, and it's paying off big time for Showtime Networks. Tell us at home how getting MMA onto the Showtime Networks has impacted the network.
Well, it's been terrific. We're only 4 or 5 fights in, but events in, and so far so good. And we've gotten a younger demo to watch these events. We've gotten them exposed to all the other great stuff that Showtime has to offer. And for us, it's a home run. And tonight is just the follow up to that.
Doug DeLuca, the head of the whole network, has praised you for seeing that ahead of time, having the vision to bring it in. You also grabbed a hold of EliteXC, which I believe was Gary Shaw's idea. And that's where you're going to take fighters who perhaps don't have 10-1 records, but have decent records, and you're going to grow them in order to grow the base of the sport.
Right. Well, we had great success with our ShowBox franchise in the boxing genre, taking young, up-and-coming talent, giving them a platform and watching them grow. That platform's led to 23 now world champions coming out of the ShowBox platform to go on and win major world championships. So we expect the same thing in the mixed martial arts world. It's a great platform. It's a great product, and it gives the hardcore fans a chance to see and follow fighters from the very onset of their careers.
And one of the things that we see you bringing to the productions are very high production values indeed. That's really you're going to really make an effort to differentiate yourself from the other promotions by throwing that entertainment in.
Yeah, I mean, we're premium television. We only know how to do it one way, and that's first class. And we have the best production staff, the best production team, the best commentating team. And, I would hold our production up to anything. It's terrific.
Talk about the matchmaking a little bit. Gary Shaw kind of mixing it up, with the Kimbo and Tank thing. a lot of guys at home were saying, that perhaps Rico Rodriguez and Antonio Bigfoot Silva should be the main event due to records and skill levels. But you're mixing it up. You went with Kimbo Slice, who is a Miami native, and we're actually having the fights in Miami because you want to serve the fans out there. Is that the strategy behind that?
Well, yeah, I think the idea is to get as well matched and exciting fighters on the cards as possible. And you can't do better than Kimbo Slice and Tank Abbott. That's a fun fight. I want to see that. I don't know who's going to win, and that's exactly why I'm here. But, Rico Rodriguez and Bigfoot Silva, those are tremendous athletes, and I can't wait for that fight, too. So you get a little of both, and that's what EliteXC is great at. They match made better than anybody. The fights have been more competitive. The fights have been funner, and it's better for our subscribers, and, it's all working.
I think you used a key word there, Ken, and that word is fun. When I think of Kimbo Slice and Tank Abbott, I know they're going to trade. I know that Kimbo Slice has got to last the first 4 minutes. Tank is always dangerous, and therefore it makes for an interesting fight and a fun fight.
Yeah, we've been through a lot of these with Mike Tyson days where just the intensity in the arena, and you never know what's going to happen, and it can end at any moment. Don't blink because you're going to miss it. That's what Kimbo brings to the table.
And now the commitment level to EliteXC is very obvious. There's been a lot of acquisitions lately. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Icon, King of the Cage, you picked up some other promotions as well.
Yeah, we're actually doing our first Cage Rage on Showtime from the UK on March 8th. We're going to have a live boxing event that night for the first time, followed by the Cage Rage fight with Ken Shamrock. So it's a good opportunity for our fight fans to see both platforms. And we're going to do the same thing on March 29th. We're going to do Frank Shamrock and Kung Lee, and then we're going to go right to a fight in the UK with Carl Frock, and tremendous fight card there. So a lot of mixing and matching, and just a good way to expose our subscribers to both platforms.
Yo, this is Eve Edwards, the Thug Jitsu Master, and you're watching Fight Zone TV.
One of the most fun parts about coming to mixed martial arts events, you get to meet celebrities. The star of yours, mine, and ours, right here. Life as we know it. Sean Farris, we're so glad to see you. We got to ask you, your career's been exploding lately, and I understand a new movie is in the works that deals with MMA and is really going to put mixed martial arts on the map.
Yeah, it's called Never Back Down. It's going to be in theaters March 14th, and it'll be in theaters everywhere. So, people got to go out and check it out. But it's not just about MMA. It's actually it's like a coming-of-age story that involves MMA within it. It's not a tournament movie or anything like that. It's more MMA in the streets and about the discipline and self-control that goes along with it.
So you're the protagonist in the movie, the star. How would you compare it to, say, a movie like Fight Club?
It's got similarities to Fight Club with the mindset of some of the fighters within the movie, but it's actually closer to like a Karate Kid.
Okay.
It's a Karate Kid meets a Fight Club type of feel.
This is awkward. Now for the bad news. It's gotta end if you looking like a bitch.
To get the part, I know I lived in LA a long time, very hard to get movie roles. How did you get the part? Are you a martial artist yourself?
No, actually, I've always been a fan of UFC and recently Showtime EliteXC and also the IFL, but I'd never had done any martial arts in my past. I'd done a little boxing and whatnot, but they put us through a rigorous amount of training for this. We did 3 months, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they taught us Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and Taekwondo. And like I said, man, my body went into shock after the first week, but eventually you get used to it and you fight through it and you carry on.
I understand you had the opportunity to do a little choreography with Boss Rutan.
Yeah. Actually, that's funny. I saw Boss about 2 weeks ago, and he was showing me some of his Boss special moves. And he also put me in a little bit of a side choke, and I'm pretty tough. I've been in some situations. But all they had to do was squeeze a little bit, and it actually squeezed so much air out of me. My eyes started to bulge out, and I teared up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
A little choked up.
Yeah. Well, no, but you know what? It wasn't like it was like a crying type of tear. It was like it was forced out of me. Like my eyes just instantly started to water. I was like, and he was like, "Okay, I'll let you go." But Boss is a good guy. I like him.
Now, after the training, the extensive training you went through to do the movie Never Back Down, is it something you think you'll keep going with in terms of training and staying in shape?
As much as I can, yes. The hard part is the schedule that we have, all over the place in different cities and different states. But when I do get the opportunity, the stunt guys said that I could come back and train with them anytime because they're all former pros and whatnot. And, I still do all the stretching. I still beat up. I got a bob at home. I got a bob. So me and Bob do a couple rounds every now and again. But
I know Bob, right? That's that guy with the vest, right? His tan.
Yeah. Right now he's got an Elvis mask on him and a Hawaiian shirt, so it kind of freaks me out every time I go up to the third floor to do laundry. But hey, it's cool. But I definitely would like to get back and do some sparring and whatnot.
Now, it's important to note that this isn't a movie just for martial arts fan. This is a movie for everybody. It's very compelling, has a lot of drama to it, and it's also a wide release movie that's a major film.
Yeah, it's going to release in 2,600 theaters, and it's like I said before. It's about this guy and what he's going through in life, and martial arts are involved, MMA is involved. But it's not an MMA tournament fight movie. I want that to be understood because some people are like, well, they're doing illegal moves and whatnot. Well, in a street fight, are you going to worry about what's legal and what's not? I don't think so. You're going to do what you got to do.
What's the date on that release again, Sean?
March 14th, and theaters everywhere.
Sean Ferris, the star of Never Back Down. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Visiting with Rico Suave Rodriguez. And Rico, you got a big fight coming up on EliteXC. A great shot for you to get back on the mainstream, and you're doing well. You're back on the track, but you've got a big task in front of you in one Antonio Bigfoot Silva. 6'4", 300 pounds he's listed at. What kind of strategy do you take into the cage against someone that big?
I've competed against all the top athletes in the world, and you know what? He's a phenomenal athlete, and I've trained with the best. I spent 3 weeks training with Couture's, and just in this game right now, today's evolution of the sport, you basically got to be prepared for everything. And there's no particular game strategy that I have for him, but just come in with the best A game that I can bring to the table.
And not only have you competed against some of the biggest names in the business, you have beat some of the biggest names. You beat Couture, you beat Arlovsky, you beat Goodrich, you beat some of the top names in the heavyweight division. So after you get in with those guys and beat them, that's got to do a lot for the confidence.
You know what? It doesn't really faze me. All these guys have gotten better day by day. Nobody can say there's better than it. You could beat all those guys, but today is what counts. And this guy's bringing the A game, and he's one of the top heavyweights coming into the league right now. So it's going to be. I got my hands full with it, pretty much.
Now, you came in onto the scene, busted on big as a young guy. You got a lot of fame, you got a lot of fortune right out of the gate, beating everybody, looking phenomenal. How hard was that psychologically? You've had some issues. You've allowed me to talk about that. You're on Celebrity Rehab now, VH1. Was it the fame and the fortune that put you in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, definitely success at a young age definitely didn't help. You know what I mean? Coming from the ghetto, rising up, but hey, I dealt with it the best that I could, and you know what? I've had my battles, and you know what? Being a man, talking about it, facing it, and doing it one day at a time for me, keeping my sobriety, along with doing what I do, which is fight. So taking care of my family. These are things that I look at the past and say, hey, I fucked up a lot, but the reality is, turned it around and made it better.
You looked great on the scales. You look like you're really in shape. What are you weighing in at right now?
260, 263. I think I weighed in about. Not just that's pretty much what 263. I think. I'm not sure. I made weight. That's all I know.
Is that a good fighting weight for you?
It's okay. It's not the best I like to see myself at, but eventually it'll get better. And getting in shape for this particular fight was good enough, and putting on some weight considering the fact that just funny. You got some clowns here. What can you say? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do?
So, all right. So you have been in a situation where you've had comebacks before. You know that this is going to be a good comeback opportunity for you. Let's say you get by him. What are you looking to do with your MMA career? You're still a young guy. It's amazing. You've been around forever. You feel like you should be in your mid-40s, but you're still a young guy. What are you looking to do in MMA?
Just for me right now, one fight at a time. I basically can't, look for the future right now. I just signed with, Showtime, and hopefully we'll see how the longevity of the relationship goes.
Outstanding.
I mean, there's really not that many heavyweights in this organization, so Antonio and I could be facing each other in a rematch possibly very shortly.
You talked about that. You said in one of your interviews that you two were the real champions to keep your eyes on, and Kimbo and Tank, you guys should actually be in that number one slot. Is that something you feel strongly about, and if so, why?
To me, I don't care if it's first or last. At the end of the day, the real fans know who the best fighters are, and even the reporters know who the fighters are. Antonio Silva and Rico Rodriguez is the best technical fight of the night. And, for entertainment-wise, Kimbo and Tank make a great entertainment fight. That's basically what it is. It is what it is, and you can't bullshit anybody, and everybody knows what's going on. If tomato cans make great fights, that's the bottom line.
You heard it from the Suave himself, Rico Rodriguez. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much. Good looking to see you.
UFC veteran Yves Edwards here, coming off a big win, HD net in Dallas, rear naked choke. Your last fight for EliteXC, rear naked choke. That seems to be your submission of choice, Yves.
It's the thing that's in style. I've been training with the guys at American Top Team, and everybody tries to do it to me. So I figure if I can't get one of those guys and they can't get me, I'm going to get somebody else.
So now you're fighting for some good promotions. You got EliteXC, you got HD net, good, strong promotions. What are you looking to do? You're racking up the wins again. Are you trying to get back into the UFC, or are you going to be content with EliteXC for a while?
I'm trying to get back on the winning streak. That's all I want to do. It's constantly go out there and win fights. What happens after that, what comes was what comes, But I just want to win fights, win belts, be champion. Be the world champion of the world,
Yeah.
So to do that, you just got to beat everybody they put in front of you.
Well, who they are putting in front of you is Edson Berto, very, very tough fighter out of Tampa, trained by a great school, and has a lot of wins under his belt as well. Great Muay Thai, great ground game. What type of strategy are you going to take into that match?
His style is very similar to mine. His stand-up is good, his ground game is solid. So, wherever the fight goes, is just to do the right things, the whole time. If it goes 15 minutes, it goes 15 minutes, and 15 minutes of doing everything correctly. So for this fight, I just want to be focused and come out there and be strong the whole time through.
Well, we're looking forward to that. We know it's going to be a great match. We know Edson is awesome. We know you're phenomenal. A great match. Looking forward to it, Yves. Good luck.
I'm ready for it. It's going to be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.